Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is August 23rd, 2024. This is episode 260. Stand-up comedian, actor, and improviser Paul Green coming to you while overcoming a head cold to continue my daily podcast as I pursue my dreams and share my journey and my learnings along the way. And I'll tell you, today, pretty much meaning Thursday, was just a lot of rest. I have sort of hit the, I hope is the low point of this cold. And I hope that I'm on the way up to recovery. It feels that way. I feel like I hit rock bottom. Yesterday morning, my sore throat and my cough got pretty nasty. But I have just been getting lots of rest, drinking lots of water, doing all the things. And I feel like I'll be turning a corner tomorrow when I wake up, hopefully. So, other than really fighting this cold, I have really just been in a bit of a down period now. I had the incredible show in Missouri over the weekend, and now I really don't have any comedy shows scheduled for almost 2 weeks, which is very rare. I have my open mic coming up, and that's pretty much it until 2 weeks. 2 weeks I will be, I've got a couple private shows, and then I will be in Los Angeles performing at the world famous Magic Castle. And then once that second week of September hits, then there is going to be some serious show action going on for a while. But there's a bit of a calm before the storm going on. So I'm glad I got sick now when I don't have to perform. And I can really focus on my writing, which even through my sickness, I have tried to get some writing in. I haven't really gotten a lot done, but more of just me committing to the habit of writing every day. I have made sure to write down a few ideas. Other than that, the big thing that is really happening right now is the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show, which is my two-person comedy and music show with my comedy partner, the one and only Josh Novi. We have really put a lot of work into booking a tour over the next couple of months, and we have more and more performance dates trickling in. So I think we're up to 5 performance dates over the next 3 months, all over the place. So we have a gig booked in Gilbert. We have a gig booked in Yuma, in Safford, Arizona. We have 2 in Iowa and 1 in Michigan. And I think another one just came in for Scottsdale that we're looking at. So actually, I just counted 7. And plus we have 2 private gigs. So that is 9 potential gigs here in the next couple of months. And that is just the beginning of what we are really hoping to do and to accomplish with this 2-person show. So it's really exciting to start seeing the humble beginnings of that and just learning as we go on how we need to promote the show, how we can be successful, how we can sell tickets at a positive ROI, how we can afford to rent venues and theaters and do ads and promotions and travel and all that fun stuff. So just quite a bit of activity going with the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. on top of my own comedy pursuits. And my big thing coming up will be the World Series of Comedy on September 23rd, I believe, is my performance date up in Las Vegas. So I am very much looking forward to performing some stand-up at the World Series of Comedy. So all good things, my friends, all good things. And anybody out there who has a dream that you are pursuing, all I gotta say is just keep at it. Just keep at it. The more that I invest in this crazy dream of mine, the more that I realize that I don't actually think there is such a thing as accomplishing your dreams. I really only think there is the pursuit and finding joy in the pursuit of them. And as long as you haven't quit, it's really just a war of attrition. If you wake up tomorrow and you put 1 ounce of effort into pursuing what it is in your life that is calling to you, then you're doing it. You're living your dream. May not feel like it day in and day out, and I can definitely understand that, but you know, that is what I am learning. Those are my learnings as I pursue these dreams. So, really excited, really cool stuff going on. And hopefully this cold will be gone here on the next day or two. I'm really hoping that this was just one of those, few day ones, and this isn't going to turn into one of those 2-weekers or whatever. I don't think so. I feel like I'm almost on the other end of it. My voice already feels better even tonight than it did just when I recorded this podcast yesterday. So all good things there. And, I think I'm going to keep this one on the shorter end as well. But I do want to talk about the 48 Laws of Power. Those of you who follow the podcast know that every day I pick the next chapter of the 48 Laws of Power and deconstruct it and give my thoughts on it, just because I have found the book to be very different than what I had anticipated. I actually heard a little clip from the author of the book, and he said, "Oh yeah, they recommend this book to people in prisons," and I just went, "That sounds horrible," because most of these laws I feel like are the types of things that people do to land them in prison. My hope would be that human beings would evolve to find a more effective long-term strategy for living together in peace and harmony, instead of trying to live in a manner where people are unscrupulously seeking to gain power over others, even at the expense of morality and dignity. But hey, I get it that, we are still animals underneath this human facade that we present to the world. And part of being animalistic is being territorial and dog-eat-dog and all that fun stuff. So, I don't know. Overall, again, and I have said this many times, I get that the world is not always a friendly, peaceful place, and that it is usually those in power who are seem to be getting away with with their crimes against humanity. All right, I don't want to get that dark. I feel like I'm already getting way too dark than I want to get on this episode. Let's just talk about today's principle, because today's principle I didn't think was actually that that bad, that salacious, that devious. So the law is avoid stepping into great man's shoes. This law of power, of all of the laws, I really felt the least, how do I say this? I had the least reaction to this law. It almost didn't even really resonate with me as something to even really be taken seriously. Ultimately, as the book starts to describe this, it's talking predominantly about father and son relationships, at least at the beginning of the chapter, and how, sometimes there's like a very powerful father. I think it talked about Louis XIV and what a great king of France he was, but then his son, or his grandson maybe, when he took over the throne, didn't really care and just kind of gambled and womanized and then ended up getting beheaded. Okay. But ultimately, what it's saying is that you can't really, you don't want to be in the shadow of other great men in whatever it is that you're pursuing, that you need to find a way to step out and shine in your own right, or even outshine if you're in a situation, again, if it's like a father-son relationship, if you're like Donald Trump's son, or if you're, like the son of a famous actor. I would run into this a lot in LA when I would meet the children of like famous Hollywood actors. And I became close friends to a couple of them, whose parents are like household names, famous. And then I would meet their children in like acting classes or improv classes. And it was really fascinating getting to know them and getting to get a little bit of an idea of what it was like being them and being in a situation to where they couldn't possibly hope to outshine what their parents had accomplished. At least not in the manner in which their parents had. I'll just give you one example. I met Don Rickles' daughter. I met John Cleese's daughter. You want to talk about two of the most comedic legends ever. Don Rickles and John Cleese from Monty Python. I mean, come on. Yet I met both their daughters who were doing stand-up comedy. And so I guess here the law is, if you find yourself in that circumstance, that you really need to learn how to shine in your own right, and that it's not going to serve you to try to step into the shoes of the great men and women who went before you. But yeah, I mean, I'm reading through this law. It doesn't really seem like, I don't know. I mean, how many people are sons and daughters of like kings and some of the most famous people on the planet? So I don't know. Maybe if I would have paid more attention, maybe towards the end of the chapter, maybe it would have extrapolated this law to just most of us who are maybe just come from more humble circumstances, and are not necessarily the grandson of the King of France. I definitely think that that maybe there's a principle to look at, which is this idea of forging your own path and not being afraid to maybe step out of a maybe if there's been a certain pathway that has been spelled out for you, or a certain expectation, and you are finding that your path maybe doesn't seem to resonate with the expectation that has been laid out for you, whether that's a cultural expectation or a family expectation. Maybe you don't want to follow in, your parents' footsteps, or your community's footsteps, or, whatever that is. This is a very random thought, but this friend of mine in Los Angeles, his name's Ross. He he wrote this screenplay, which I just thought was the most funny premise. And the screenplay was like a group of like Neanderthal cavemen, like hunter-gatherers. And it was like the first stand-up comedian of like this hunter-gatherer tribe. And of course, all of these hunter and gatherer people are trying to make this kid, learn how to hunt and learn how to kill. But all he wants to do is, tell jokes. So in that regard, I would say that there is power to forging your own path. And I'll tell you, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to stray from the path that has been laid out for you. And I think that there is power in that, and that there is power in, especially if you are in somebody else's shadow, to forging your own path to where you are the one casting a new shadow, and not basking in the shadow of those who have gone before you. So, that's really only my thoughts on that. I don't know if any of that makes any sense or if it resonates with anybody. But that is what came to mind as I have been reading this book. I'm almost done with it. It'll be interesting to see what I decide to do next. What book maybe I want to read. I kind of like this, though. I am a big fan of the self-help industry. I always like reading books, and especially in the self-help realm, which, by the way, I thought this book was more self-help. I didn't realize it was more of a, dictator's guide to power. But there you go. All right, everybody. I am going to keep this one a little short because I am very tired and I am still very sick, but I am trying to keep with my goal to record 365 straight episodes of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast daily for 1 year. I think I've missed one day, one actual full calendar day that I missed a podcast. But other than that, I have been vigilant, my friends. All right. To all of you out there, I hope your dreams are coming true. You're out there pursuing them, finding joy and fulfillment in the journey. Keep at it. If you're still in the game, you are winning. So this is the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast for August 23rd, 2024, episode 260. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.